All right, we'll just give it a couple more minutes. And shall I pass over the deck to you, Erin?
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
There you go. I'll pass that over. So as we go through the talk as well, you'll see that there's a Q&A tab at the bottom of your screens. If you have any questions, put them in the Q&A because it makes it easier for us to make sure that we get to them and answer them. We'll either answer them live, or we'll start answering them as Erin's talking as well. So if you any questions, by all means chuck them in the Q&A, but keep chatting as well in the chat pane because it helps us understand kind of what direction we need to be taking things to. And it's nice to get a bit of interaction back as well, rather than us just talking at you for the next 35, 40 minutes.
And we'll have some pauses in between topics here too, so you can jump in if you have any questions. We can make sure that we get these answered.
How's the Drift team dealing with remote?
We're doing okay. Luckily, a lot of people definitely had a remote setup already, and we had quite a few offices open in the past year, so people were used to working remote on smaller teams. Not too bad.
Nice.
Anyone have any fun tips or tricks for working from home? I know for me, I'm not a huge fan of it, but getting used to it.
I've seen plenty of drifters on social where you guys are doing yoga and gym sessions over Skype.
Yeah, if anyone wants a really fun workout, I guess it would be a little late for you, but we have what's called inner city weightlifting. So we work with a company that works with the youth in the inner city and basically teaches them how to take out any type of frustration through working out, gets them into different activities with new companies. So they come to our office, and since we obviously can't see them, they've been doing it virtually for us. We can send you over some tough workouts if anyone's interested late.
John's got some top tips for you for working from home. Don't do it with a 9-month-old.
That I actually was saying we have quite a few people at Drift who recently had children. And I was like, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing that they get extra time at home. They must be going crazy, but it's definitely nice to obviously be with little ones. We made a Drift coloring book too. If anyone's interested in that, we can send over the link after.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a great idea.
It's really, really cute. Maybe a little young for a 9-month-old, but if anyone has any, kids, toddlers, be perfect for them.
That's fine about Claire, John. We'll make sure that we circulate the recordings afterwards as well. Right, we'll just give it a couple more minutes. There's still people trickling in, and then we'll get started. Right. And for anybody who's just joined as well, if you've got any questions, make sure you put them in the Q&A panel rather than name, because it makes it easier for us to pick it up afterwards or during. Charlotte, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. I'm enjoying this nice weather for a change. I'm sat on my sofa, so I'm as close to the back garden as I possibly can be to try and get a little bit of sun.
G, you are literally the third person to see me on video and ask if I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm not, and I am with that star. But yeah, it's turned out to be a bit of a conversation starter at the moment, and it's better than those Zoom backgrounds that everybody is using.
I was very surprised to see the star. I was like, that looks like a Cowboy star.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I guess honestly, especially if you're not from the U.S. And you're going to pick a team that's known as one of the most famous teams, obviously. So a lot of people actually are Dallas fans that aren't from here.
And Tony Romo was a legend for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, exactly. And now he's a great commentator. He's really funny to watch.
Right, 2 more minutes and we'll go. Charlotte, John wants to know if you escaped home or if you stayed in Manchester.
I stayed in Manchester. Yeah, no, I'm Manchester, although I keep sending little packages back to my parents in St. Coldfield.
I think a lot of people here escape the city if you could. I know a lot of people from New York escaped, which is great because New York is so bad right now. And then in Boston, a lot of people ended up leaving for the suburbs. I'm way out in the woods, so there's really not too much around me.
Great suggestion, Charlie, of staying outside and drinking early. Great suggestion.
Yeah, definitely taking more walks. I think my dog is very happy that we get to work from home.
Laura, yeah, definitely. We will share the video. So after this, we'll kind of download it. We'll cut off the bit at the beginning where we were talking about weather and dogs and traveling and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll share it out. So it'll probably be in your inboxes tomorrow. Okay, Erin, do you want to take it away?
All right. Well, everyone that I didn't get to meet in the beginning here, I'm Erin, so I'm from Drift. I'm a CSM here, so I've been with the company a little over 2 years now, actually. So I've seen Drift go through tons of iterations, and we wanted to just share with you today a little bit about conversational marketing in general, and then, of course, why it's so relevant at a time like now, and then some quick wins for you if you're looking to use some of our products that we have. So just to start off here, just want to explain why things are so important, especially in a day like today. So really what we're seeing is that there's infinite options for what you want to buy. You could go to tons of different stores, many different websites, and even just how you're buying it, either in person, digitally, over a phone. And what we're trying to do is just reduce the friction and make it easier for the buyer. So along with having infinite options, that means your expectations are going up. So not even so much just in the experience buying, but even after. So how you're getting service from somebody, how fast the buying process or the service is after. The expectations have turned into, the expectation of 5 to 10 days down to hours or minutes. You can see here just a few tools that you commonly see are things like Slack that you might use in your day-to-day. If you reach out to a colleague or even a friend via text, if you don't get an answer back within a few minutes, it's usually something that you start to question, what are they doing? Where are they? And we're trying to mimic that also in the buying process for you and also your servicing department. Another thing that we've noticed is it's not so much formal anymore. So instead of having a very formal conversation that you might have with the same person over and over, they're expecting it to be a little bit more informal. So they're expecting you to be on a more personal level and having your conversation as if you'd be talking to a friend. Now, the other thing that we've noticed, and this is a huge, huge, huge thing that I've even seen in my personal life and business, is that whoever makes it easier to buy is going to end up winning that deal. You might even hear someone say, well, technically the cost was lower somewhere else, but I really enjoyed working with the other team and they made the process super quick and easy, so therefore I went with them instead. This is something that, like I said, you can see across multiple industries and day to day. Now next, this is kind of what the buying experience typically looked like before. So you would either go to a website, you would start filling in a form, and there might be even days between these steps. So you become a lead in the CRM, and then you might go through a nurture sequence of calls, qualification, different types of outreach before you even get on the phone to talk to somebody or get to that last step in the process. So what we're trying to do is not so much change this completely, but just make some of the cycle a little bit shorter and a little bit more simple for people when they're going through. So from the point of coming on the website to actually speaking with someone could be rather than days, seconds. So here, like I said, the buying process before was a little bit full of friction, very frustrating. The person wants to make this simple. So we're trying to, like I said, erase some of those middle points to make it more seamless. And this is a more drawn out model of kind of what that looks like. But you can see here, the time to someone being followed up with versus their likelihood to buy varies greatly. And within that first 10 minutes is when you really want to be interacting with someone. So if we can take out really some of the stuff right here, I would say maybe 2 through 9, and really just try and talk to someone in that moment. You have a much higher likelihood of closing them and closing them faster. So with conversational marketing, this is what you want to think about, really like the full definition of it. So it's a way to move people through the buying process faster and then through your marketing sales funnel through the power of real-time conversations. So the whole framework around conversational marketing is the conversation piece and doing it in the moment. So here, So I think the biggest thing that we've definitely realized, especially at Drift and just across like multiple marketing companies that we work with, is that you're spending a lot of money on things like events and webinars and social. So if you're spending all that money on that type of content and they're coming to your website and then getting an empty experience, you want to make sure that you're following up with things like video tools and chat tools, and even some type of automation sometimes, depending on what you're looking for. So you're kind of meeting that in the middle. So all this money that you're spending is then, you're greeting the customer with a different experience. Now I'm going to go specifically today into video and chat with some of our free products that we have that you can start using immediately. And one thing to note too is that we actually have the capability to be live on your website, but also your mobile sites. So I know today a lot of people are designing mobile sites, but so this will work on both. Also for the framework, this framework could work in any situation when it comes to conversational marketing. So the way you want to think about kind of any time that you're using these tools is really what page are they on? So is this something where the person is on your homepage? So maybe they're a little less far down the funnel. Are they on a high intent page? Maybe something like a pricing or a features page. Also, who are they? Do you know anything about this person? Is it someone who's been to your site multiple times? Or is it someone that we have no idea who they are? So we have to start that conversation off a little differently. And then the last couple down here, so ad or are they coming direct to your site? This is what I just mentioned about spending a lot of money on things like ad or nurture campaigns. We want to make sure that if someone's coming to your site in different ways, that we're treating them differently based on what we know about the last thing they did engaging with your company. And then the last one down here, so why are they on your site? This kind of goes into what you're asking them through that chat. So they come to your site, do you start off with a how can we help you? Are you asking them maybe a more direct question based on the facts that they're on a high intent page and they came from a webinar? Maybe you want to give them a different experience. And then the last thing is always engaging with them in the moment. They have the decision to obviously close out a drift and not use the chat or just simply continue chatting with you so you can reach out to them in real time. Now, before I go on to kind of the two products I wanted to highlight, I just wanted to see if there were any questions. I don't see any in the Q&A, but I'm just going to open up the chat quickly here. Okay. I'm not seeing any questions, so I'll continue on, or I can give people a minute if they want to type in. All right, I'll continue on. If you hear my dog barking, that's my golden retriever in the background. So first thing I want to cover today is video. So we have a free video product. It's something that for me as a CSM, I think I use really almost in every outreach to customers. And the reason I like using this is it creates a super personalized experience that is very, very simple for you to make. What I want to highlight is we obviously have our free product, but if you are a teacher, or if you work with any teachers or students or nonprofits, we actually are offering our pro version for free during this time because we know it can be super helpful, especially if you're, making videos and saving them for a class. So I didn't want to highlight that for you, but the one I'm going to be talking about today is our free version. So 3 main things to point out is there's unlimited recording. So you have no limit to how many videos you can create, which I think is a little different than most products. There's also storage for up to 100 videos. So if you're using a video frequently, you can have that stored. And then the biggest piece is the live chat. So in our video, basically the way you would do this is we have a Chrome extension. And then from there, you can choose to show 3 options: just your face, screen only, or screen and face. Now, the biggest thing I see with video is that when you send it to someone, I think what I love is this next slide here is they have the chat option right on the right-hand side. So this is Haley on our team. She was a BDR here. She's actually promoted to an account executive. But what she would do is she would create a personalized outreach that showed her face. Sometimes she would make a GIF out of it, or she would hold up a sign, or simply go to their website to kind of share what she was hoping to explain to them. Once they open the video and begin watching, they can type into Haley on the right-hand side here, and Haley would receive a notification, 1, saying the person was watching the video, and then 2, that the person was chatting in. So it gives you the chance to kind of catch people in the moment when they're at their highest intent of looking at your content. On the next slide here, this is a little bit more about what the notifications look like, and you can actually see how much someone has watched of your video. So I know for me, that's super helpful. If I'm explaining something to a customer and I see they watched 100% of the video, that's obviously a much better experience than someone only watching a few percentage, but it gives you the chance to kind of understand their engagement level. So this is something you could download today, start using with your customers or prospects. And here's a case study that we actually just released from Frontify. But what they said was they're basically going to someone's website, learning about the customer, and then creating a very personalized video to introduce themselves. So that way it's not the same experience for everybody. We definitely recommend this. If you're, a little shy like me, like when I first started using it, I didn't love showing my face. So what I started doing was just creating videos that I was basically like this, sharing my screen. And you can record that the same way. So you can use it multiple different ways across multiple different teams for multiple different reasons. So I wanted to take a pause here just to see if anyone had questions about the video product, or if anyone here has used it, maybe and even wanted to share how they've used it before.
So like internally, we use video an awful lot. So like for us, it's one of the kind of the best ways to start a conversation, not just from a sales perspective, but also from a kind of reaching out to the customers we're already working with, especially at the moment where we've got people who aren't kind of getting much face time with anybody at the moment. It's a nice way to kind of round that off and make the whole process a bit more human again. And we got a couple of questions in the Q&A.
Yeah, I'm having actually, let me stop sharing my screen. There you go, I can open it now. All right, so how do you get buy-in from everyone else in their team? So that's actually a really good question, and that's something that I know a lot of people have had questions about as well. So one thing that we do is, like I said, we definitely introduce video to people where we don't, force them to show their face. I totally get that it's new to a lot of people. So I think starting with the version of just sharing your screen can be super helpful to get people used to it. And then once they are comfortable, they can start introducing, their face into it, make it more personalized.
So
for the length of the video.
So one of the things that we often suggest in as well is like if you pick a champion on your team. So I know Charlie, you're on the call. You'd be a perfect fit for within your organization, but you pick a champion, somebody who's receptive to tech and is quite outgoing, and you show them the process. You get them firing on it, and then as soon as the people around them start to see the results and the way that it's working, everybody wants to be involved in the same process. So that's normally how we would launch any new tech, especially video.
Great, and I see how long should it be? So we actually definitely recommend keeping them short. So for the most part, we don't go over 2 minutes. I think it also depends how you're using it. For me personally, as a CSM, I'm definitely using it to explain something. So sometimes mine are a bit longer, but for outreach, definitely under the 2-minute mark. And it will actually show the person how long the video is before they click on it. So it's also helpful for them to see that it's not a long video. So outreach for cold leads. I think the biggest thing that we've seen is sharing their own website and really relaying it back to them. They'll see immediately when you open up the email, the opening GIF of the video. So sometimes too, our team will hold up a little sign that kind of says like, hey, and then the company name, or, it's your team here at Drift. So something that just makes it a little bit more personalized, like, okay, this is actually for us and the person took time to make this versus it looking like a generic video. Between Drift and Vidyard. So I think the biggest thing with ours is just the chat piece. Vidyard is an amazing tool. I've actually used Vidyard a ton, especially outside of Drift before we had our video product. The biggest thing is really the chat piece. I think for me, especially having someone chat in directly from the video, you just know they're a little bit more engaged, and even just having that chat as a possibility for the site visitor. Okay, so I'm trying to see where I left off in the questions there. What's the best example of a chat that they have seen? Could you explain that one a little bit more? While I wait for that, I'll jump on to the next one. Are your videos for one-to-one? So you can do both. I think the biggest one that we've seen is doing a one-to-one, and because they're so quick and easy to create, like so they're not meant to be super long. We do it on a one-to-one basis, so they're more personalized, but you can certainly go back to your saved videos and reuse them. I do that a lot if I'm explaining the same type of product feature or something like that.
So Ben, one of the things that we use, so we tend to use a mix. So if it's, so say a lead has come into our site, we'll typically respond to it with a personalized video, but it'll be part of a sequence. So we'll put that personalized video into the sequence, and then the follow-up emails that go through that are being sent out by the system, they will normally then have a generic video. It still could be, it could be something that is like, it feels personal, but it won't mention the name, it won't mention the company. It'll still be kind of like human in its approach. It's not like a shiny marketing email, but it won't be specific one-to-one because we're using it in the automation. That's the mix that we typically use.
Yeah, there's definitely a mix between personalized and keeping them more generic. Let's see, so Vidyard. So they actually do still use their own. They don't use Drift Video for obvious reasons. They stuck with Vidyard for them, so we're not really doing anything different there. But like I said, the main thing with ours is just to differentiate two tools. It's just one has the chat aspect, as I mentioned. What's the quirkiest way of using the chat function? So right now the hooks are actually all the same. So the opening line will always be the same for videos. At the moment, we're working on kind of using our playbook builder to create playbook videos. For now though, it would basically just be coming from the rep as a greeting from them. So how to re-engage them, that's a really good question. I think just your typical nurturing campaign. So what our reps will typically do is they'll have the original video they normally send, but they change it up. So if video didn't work the first time, they'll use their standard outreach the second time, and then maybe go back to video a while later. I think the nicest thing about this is they're pretty quick and easy to make. So if it didn't work the first time, you send a couple more responses after to them, and then you could try using the video again. But one thing that helps is removing a lot of text around your video and simply putting just the video with a very short amount of text around it. So it kind of intrigues them to watch more.
Couple more and then we'll jump back into the presentation.
Okay, so do you send the video when people come to your site, or do you send it to all your prospects? Our sales team sends it to all prospects, so we don't limit it to just people who have engaged with us previously. I think it goes both ways. Like I said, if they are engaged with you on your site, our opening might be slightly different in the actual video itself, so the GIF might be different, or the actual email, but we definitely do send it to everybody. You can post a video on LinkedIn. The chat itself will not pop up the same way, but if you go onto really any of our Drift sites, I'm sure you've seen Mark Killen's, DC, they've posted videos before, so you can post a video into LinkedIn, but unless they open the actual link, the chat will not be visibly there on LinkedIn. Let's see, make sure I'm not missing any here. Can you integrate the stats? Not into HubSpot currently. A lot of the video reporting is still pretty limited at the moment, but it's definitely something that our integrations team has taken into consideration, especially with ones like HubSpot and Salesforce that are a little bit more popular. So hopefully that's something we do down the line. And anytime you have recommendations to, please send feature requests over our way. We love to kind of hear what more people are using and how you use reporting so we can help. What improvements are you seeing using video at various parts of the marketing and sales funnel? So this has definitely worked extremely well if you have someone who's engaged. I mean, I think seeing your face just makes it all the more personalized. So what we've found is definitely if someone's in the buying process, sending a quick video to explain maybe a contract or a feature more in depth or a plan is a huge, huge win. And the initial outreach too, like I said, just showing your face, I think, and not showing a lot of text in the email. People find it simpler and quicker just to watch the video than read a long drawn out email.
One more and then we'll jump back into the presentation. Good questions.
People using this? Yeah, so customer service, yep. So like I said, that's for me, I'm all about customer service. I work with quite a few customers, and that's really my main job. So what I do is I use this as a way to explain parts of our product. I can use it in kickoffs to kind of introduce myself. Let's see, what kind of API integrations could you use? So that's something, like I said, we're pretty limited right now on any type of integrations with the video products. It's pretty limited to just the reporting that you'll see in your own account. But definitely as a customer service person, I would say this is by far my savior for not spending an hour on one email and just creating a video to show something to someone.
Great questions, everybody. Back over to you, Erin.
And if we miss any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Happy to answer to you further if you have more questions. All right, so the next piece is going to go into a little bit more about our live chat feature that we have. So while video obviously is great, if you want something just constantly living on your website, we have Drift Live Chat. So once again, this is a free version of Drift. What I absolutely love about this is you can have an online and offline version. So therefore, during your standard business hours, you can have something a little bit more like this, saying, hey there, with your name and your face, or you can put your company name and face if you want to use more of a logo. And you'd basically just be introducing yourself and seeing if you can help the person out. Now, this is an example of one being on more of like a demo page, but you can change the wording here. So you can say, if they're on a different URL, maybe have it say this, like on the home page, maybe have it be more general. If they're on a form page or on a pricing page, have this be more tailored to where they are. And really what it's doing is allowing the person to start typing in and engaging with you. The other thing that you can do with this, which I think is really nice, is during offline hours, you could change this up a little bit to say something like, hey, our team's not here at the moment, but would you like to book a meeting with us? And then use an actual calendar to book a time. For me, the calendar, I think, is the nicest piece about this because it doesn't force you to be there 24/7 to answer. So this is what it would look like on your site. And then when the person chats in, it would look like this. So they obviously respond, and then you'll receive a notification that someone's chatting in, and you'll be able to respond back in this view here. So this is allowing you, like I said, to respond in real time. You'd be able to chat back and forth. If someone gives their email, we use a tool to enrich that email for you. So we'll try and find things like first and last name, maybe a little bit more about the company. And then the live notifications, like I said, is the biggest piece. You can use this on a mobile app. I know someone had asked about WhatsApp previously. There is actually a Drift app that you can use. So for me, I love it. If I'm commuting, if I'm just away from my desk for a minute, I can still interact with people. And the full transcript is always visible to you in Drift. So at no point in time will you lose the data or the conversation that you had with the person. It will always live within your tool for you to go back to and review. So if the person comes back to the site, continues to chat in, you'll have access to see all their history here. I think we might have had a question. I just saw the chat start blinking.
So what does it integrate with? So what will the calendar integrate with? HubSpot calendar is limited to Outlook, 365 or Gmail. Will this work with calendar in normal Exchange server environment?
So this would be for Gmail calendars, and then the Office 365 cloud-based version, which is typically referred to as Outlook, but it does not work with the Exchange one or the HubSpot calendar. So it would need to be like a Gmail or Office 365, which I'll go into in a second.
And does Drift Chat work with Squarespace websites?
So Squarespace. I have not tried integrating with Squarespace website. If you can update the JavaScript code on that site, then it should be fine. It's just a simple piece of JavaScript, or you can integrate through a couple of different types of tag managers. But I'd have to look back to see if Squarespace would have any issues with the JavaScript being added. Is that all the questions? I can't open it while I am sharing. Okay, perfect. Like I said, the biggest thing here is, like I said, meeting customers where they are and giving them the ability to chat in. With those online and offline hours, it does kind of give the person an insight if you'll have time to respond. So if it's offline hours, it will be a totally different experience. The other thing, though, which nice, like I said, what's nice about the chat here is that you can change the experience based on where they are. So with the free version, you do have all those capabilities and can also change up the branding. So things like colors, design, the messaging will still be, let me go back a step, like this here, but you can change this coloring to be more on brand and update your logo and such to be the same, to be all on brand for you. So I want to go into a little bit more about the calendar piece. I think that's something that you don't, people don't always realize comes with the free plan. So this is called a Drift profile. So this is my profile here. I can send a link out to anyone that I'm working with so they can have access to this. What it will do is it will allow them to chat with me directly. So this is amazing for sales reps and for me as customer service. It really works across multiple teams for different reasons. But basically the person could click here. It would notify me directly. And based on the hours of my availability, would either say, I'm here to chat with you, or, sorry, I'm offline at the moment, but you can schedule a meeting. Once they click the schedule a meeting option, what it will do is it will pull up this view here, this is directly tied to my availability on my own calendar. So similar to something like Calendly, this would be the same thing. Obviously, this one has chat included, which is why personally I like to use it. But you would have the option here to literally send this out to someone. They could book a meeting without having to go back and forth to find a time. And they would also be able to reschedule with you directly if they need to reschedule before the meeting happens. Alongside this too, we send reminder emails. So if you ever book a meeting with me, you'll receive a couple reminders. And like I said, this is all included with that free plan. So I wanted to pause here again to see if there's any questions about the calendars, the profile, or the chat. These are kind of tied together. Like I said, you can use the chat this way, but the chat is also possible to be put on your actual website. Okay, so I'll go back to the questions here. Wow, no questions. It sounds like video was the hot topic. I'm sure a lot of people
like
have seen Drip Chat before.
Who here is like currently using chat on this site? So like who's got chat running currently in the site, Drift or any other kind of alternatives? You've got a question from Jacob. Can you go back into chat afterwards?
Yes, so if you don't answer the chat, you can go back into your account at any time and start chatting with them. So you are able to go right back in. If they gave their email and the site visitor is no longer there, but you respond, they'll also receive an email notification saying that you responded to them. So you can go back in.
Okay, you've got another one. I know HubSpot has a live chat tool built in. How does Drift differ?
Yeah, so definitely on our free plan, I wouldn't actually say they differ a ton. It's more our paid plans that definitely differ a lot more than what HubSpot has when it comes to features. So I would say that with ours, I think the biggest thing is more the profile, which I use a ton, honestly. That's the biggest savior, so I don't have to go back and forth to find times. It allows my customers to book proactively with me. Same thing for sales reps. They can send that link out to multiple people, walk in the next morning to meetings being booked. With the HubSpot free version, I'm actually not familiar if they have the calendar capability on their free plan. But like I said, I think for me, the profile and the calendar being included makes it a lot easier.
Okay, and do you chat via a Drift app? Does it work via mobile or a website?
Yeah, so we actually have a Drift app that just was released. So you can either have the desktop version of the app or we have the mobile version, so you can use that.
Okay. Can you integrate the chats into HubSpot Notes if they're with a known contact?
So not at the moment. So for the free plan, we don't have a HubSpot integration. We do have that on a paid version.
Okay.
Make sure I'm not missing any. Live chat. I'm using HubSpot at the moment. Yep. So I think we already talked about the calendar and the profile, obviously. Like I said, the paid versions definitely have quite a few more features than HubSpot does, but that would be the main difference. And I can share that as well if anyone is interested in those. I wanted to make sure for today, especially, we just showed you what you could get live immediately on your site, especially as things are moving digital right now. I know, unfortunately, none of us can really meet face-to-face, and a lot more of these meetings are going to be online. So I wanted to make sure we showed you something that you could literally turn on the second you sign up.
Okay, so Stuart's asked, the biggest issue we have is that we don't get enough traffic to our website and certainly not on chat. Can you talk about this?
Yeah, so a way that we've definitely helped people, obviously we can only get so many people to chat in based on your website traffic, but what I like is using the link in other parts of my marketing. So through emails, I'll share my Drift profile and on LinkedIn. So that way, even if you don't necessarily have people who are naturally coming to your website, they can get in contact with you by simply going to that profile page. So like I said, a lot of our reps will post this on LinkedIn. They'll send it in our marketing emails, so at least they can start a chat elsewhere if needed. The London August event, unfortunately not. We had to make the very, very tough decision we were hoping to just postpone it. I think, unfortunately, we're going to have to cancel altogether since there's no really light at the end of the tunnel right now. But as soon as we can get back, I know my plan is to fly there the day those borders open. So we'll let you know as soon as we have that scheduled. And I do have a slide in a little bit that talks about what we're doing to replace those events.
How does Drift compare to other chat programs like Intercom, Olark, or Zoho?
Yeah, so definitely when it comes to the free plan here, like I said, most of these are going to be a more simple live chat. I think the differentiation is more the calendar. Most of the free plans don't come with a calendar integration automatically. When it comes to our paid versions, I would say Intercom and Drift are definitely the most comparable. I typically see Intercom used more for support, however, and Drift is typically used more on the sales side. When it comes to OLARC or Zoho, those just seem to be pretty limited with things like integrations and some of the connections they have with things like Clearbit or Sixth or Demandbase. So for ours, like I said, you automatically get that email enrichment. With the free plan, you get the calendar. And then if you ever looked into our paid plans, I think that's where you'd see the most difference.
Okay. Any other questions before we move on? No? Great. Back to you, Erin.
Great. Let me reshare here. Okay. So a couple other things I just wanted to share with you that you have access to immediately is Drift Insider. So this is definitely not something that's tailored just to Drift Chat or how to use Drift. Really, this is just meant to be a marketing hub for you. What we do here are quite a few webinars, fireside chats, how to just keep buyers engaged in general. Like I said, this is more for video and chat and email. So I just wanted to share this with you. I'll send the links after this to how you can sign up for all of these. But like I said, this one for me, I was always in the sports industry, surprisingly, as I worked in sports and travel for a really long time. So getting more insight into the MarTech world was something that I really struggled with when I first started. So this was an easy way to just watch a couple quick videos, learn from others in the industry. And I think especially if you have a little bit more time on your hands right now, it'd be a great thing to check out. Then the other one is our Rev Growth Summit. So this is kind of what we're doing right now to replace those in-person events that we were really hoping to have across the year. So Rev Growth is going to be combined with a few other MarTech companies, but it's a 2-day event. We're basically taking our hypergrowth. So you'll still see the DJs and you'll still see the light shows. It's just going to be done virtually and from their basements, unfortunately. So if you would like to register for those, I think it's just 2 really quick ways to learn and engage with other people in the industry. The actual Rev Growth Summit will have also some type of networking events going on virtually. So I think this would be a great way if you're looking to just see what others are doing, especially with all these new tools out there. It's an awesome place to check out.
We'll make sure that both all of these links are shared in the follow-up emails as well. So you'll all get these. Don't worry about scribbling them down now.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we send all these to you. And if you have any questions, please, like I said, feel free to LinkedIn me. I'll make sure that I think Rich has actually tagged me in a few posts, so please just connect with me, ask me any questions that you have. And if it's something that is better to talk to our marketing team or a sales rep, happy to put you in touch.
So John's asked, so we're trying to push live chat in a much bigger way. We have a call center, we have call center staff that have been furloughed, and we're looking to get more chats live. What suggestions would you have for pushing it?
Okay, let's see the other one. So when you say trying to push chat, I mean, I think the biggest thing, honestly, is just putting it everywhere that you're getting visitors to your website. I think what I typically see is people are nervous to put chat in too many spots, but given the fact that you have the availability to say we're offline for these hours and change up the messaging, that's the biggest thing. Don't be afraid to put it on too many spots. It's easy to toggle on and off if you ever start getting too many chats coming in.
And I know we've talked a lot about the free tools because we wanted to start with the free tools so that there's some stuff here that anybody can take away and implement it immediately. You don't need an agency, you don't need Drift to help. Like, you can just put this on your site. But when you start to look at the paid tools, in that scenario, John, you can start to look at using bots for qualification, where they're being routed to, like all of these different things will start to ease some of those burdens as well. So if you put a chat on and you start getting thousands of chats coming through, that's a nice position to be in, because then you can start to look at how you can then upgrade the tool to handle that kind of volume.
Yeah, that's a great point. We can share the other plans with you so you can at least see what those options are, if that would be better suited for you. To Rich's point, with the free tool, it's something that you can simply sign up and turn on immediately, which is definitely why we wanted to share those first for you.
Lucy's just shared a snippet with us from the newsletter. Courtesy of John, our Director of Growth, we saw profit in the platform less than 3 hours after getting started. Seriously, here's what happened. 12 p.m., turn Drift on and configure Drift video. 1 p.m., incoming conversation via the website requesting a quote. 1:30 p.m., sent a quote out and included Drift video in the email. 2:09, prospect. I love how like granular you've been with the times here. Prospect starts a conversation in the drift video, 2:15. Based on the conversation, we change the quote and share it back over the chat interface. Quote is signed. The value more than recoups our investment in drift. See, Lucy, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you it was worth doing. But I'm glad that's worked out for you. But like we had the same experience when we first put drift on our site. We won a lot of deals where the company had come to us and said it was between you and like a competitor who is very similar to you in agency land, and you were the first to speak to us. So that speed really has a massive effect. And whenever we have somebody come through who chats with us as their first point of reference, then we are more likely to close them in like up to a third faster. So like it has massively helped us as a business. It's helped with more leads, quicker selling deals, and also the ability to just overall new businesses closing. Yeah, so John, exactly. So John is a client and he converted over our chatbot. And actually, now that he is a client, I'm sorry, John, using you as a prime example here, but now that he is a client, one of John's preferred methods of getting in contact with the team is via chat. So he will come onto our site and he will sort of ask to speak to whoever it is he's going, and then he'll be routed to that person by whoever picks up the chat. So it's not just limited to sales. I think we had another one. Jane Kelly. How can dinosaurs learn how to use drift properly? Our web developer set it up and we do not have a clue other than chat. I think that's one for you.
So it depends what plan you're on. Jane, do you know, are you using the free version or are you using more like our advanced spots? Because in the Insider itself, we do have, the free version. Okay. So the main thing, and we do have quite a few classes on this in the Insider. So if you haven't checked that out yet, there's two things. So there's actual certification. So if you want to learn more about conversational marketing in general and kind of the best practices, the certification's great. If you're looking for actual help on the tool, our help center or our support team, you can chat in 24/7 to us. So if you ever do get lost, I would say the main thing to focus on is keep the messaging simple, change it by where they are on the site. And if you have any questions about the actual, like literally where do you find this in the tool, you can, like I said, feel free to chat over to me or to our support team is probably your quickest response.
Jane, we'll follow some of this stuff up as well with, like, we have some guides and like helpful stuff to help you with that, like getting set up and how you can use it more effectively. So we'll happily circulate that with you as well if that's helpful.
I see the WhatsApp question. So I'm going to check with our integrations team. Usually they keep things pretty hush-hush until they're ready. They don't want to, the CSMs will just continue to bug them to find out when it's going to be released. So I'll check over with them to see if that's still on the roadmap, and if so, if they have a timeline.
Okay. Any more questions? Thank you, Erin. That was great. Oh wait, oh no, there's more from Jane. John says, thanks very much. So Erin, thank you very much for taking the time out of your Rhode Island morning. I'm disappointed we didn't see your parents just walk past in the background.
Well, I had to turn the camera off. I was like, Mom, don't walk past here. We're on a webinar. So actually, here comes my dad right now. So you can see him coming in.
Hey, Mr. Silva.
They said hi, Dad. He just waved.
Right, thank you very much for that. And we will follow this up with all the links that Erin shared and a bunch of other stuff. We'll have the recording across to you tomorrow as well, and the slide deck too. Thanks for doing that, Erin. Massively appreciate it. And thanks everybody for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe. And like I said, we'll let you know when the next Drift event is coming up in London.
Oh,
bye, everybody.
John has one last question. I have beard envy. How do I get my groceries not done?
You'll have to check with Rich on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else hair, so like I'm all right with this. It's fine. Right. See you, everybody.
Bye, everybody.